All right. I believe we're ready to call this meeting to order. Dr. Miller is remote. You'll see on the board over there, so you're stuck with me running this session this evening. This meeting is a meeting of the school board in public for the purpose of conducting the school corporation's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. There may be time for public participation as indicated by agenda items or as directed by the president. The meeting site is fully accessible. Any person requiring further accommodation should contact the superintendent at the school corporation central office. This meeting will be electronically recorded and will be kept on file in the superintendent's office. A copy of the audio recording will also be available on the NLCS website. To that end, I also recommend the speakers, the board members, to unmute your mic and speak closely to the microphone so that those who are joining us remotely and Dr. Miller can hear us. With that, I will ask that we rise and uncover. And Barb, would you lead us in the pledge? And again, by way of roll call, Dr. Miller is joining us remotely. I would entertain a motion for the review and approval of the minutes from our last meeting, executive session from August 17th, 2023.
So moved. Second.
Okay, Mr. Bailey makes the motion. Ms. Collier seconds. Any discussion regarding the minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor of recording the minutes as approved, as written? Aye. Aye. All opposed? All right. Next, we have persons to address the board relative to the agenda. Mr. Blandingham, do we have any? Okay, so no one to address the board at this point. Moving on. Ms. Muter.
Yes, I present claims and payroll since the last board meeting in the amount of $3,869,458.54.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve the submitted budget line?
So moved.
All right. All right. Mr. Jeff moves. Mr. Lombrick moves. Mr. King seconds. Any discussion around the budget item? All right. All in favor of approval of the budget item as presented? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right. Motion carries.
Next up, I ask the board for approval of the personnel agenda as presented to you this evening.
All right. I don't know if the board's had ample time to look at this or a couple of additions. Any discussion, I should say.
I'll make a motion
Any motion
to accept.
to accept the personnel agenda as presented? Okay, Mr. Bailey makes the motion. Do I have a second? Mr. King seconds. Now, any discussion around the personnel agenda as presented?
On it's under information. It's got Brittany Chastain added role of project lead the way building lead. What building is that? Do we know? Shawswick?
Shawswick.
Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion? All right. Hearing none, then all those in favor of approving the personnel agenda as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? All right, motion carries. Ms.
Next
Moody?
up, I ask for approval of the resolution authorizing tax anticipation warrants for 2024.
Seems like an awfully lot of hard issues now that I'm running this meeting. I don't know what that is, but All right, I will entertain a motion to approve the authorizing tax anticipation warrants for 2024 then.
So moved.
Mr. King moves.
Second.
Mr. Lombard seconds. Any discussion around this topic?
I think the important part of this is it's in order to make sure we pay bills that we have to pay before we get the money that comes in to pay them, right?
Correct.
Because of the delay in receiving tax money.
Correct.
Right. So it just covers, this is for those items that we are required by law to make sure we pay.
Yes.
And Ms. Muter, this is in the budget already or was anticipated?
Yes, it is.
All right, further discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor of acceptance of the resolution for the authorizing tax anticipation warrants for 2024, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? All right, motion carries.
Next up, approval of resolution to transfer amounts from education fund to the operations fund on a monthly basis.
All right. Recommended approval of the resolution of transfer amount from education fund to operation on a monthly basis. Do I have a motion?
Make motion we approve.
Okay, Mr. King makes the motion.
Second.
Mr. Bailey seconds. Discussion on this topic.
So this is 15% of the budget item of $25,900,000.
The new resolution is, the one that was up previous was not, but the new one
The new
is
is, okay.
15%, and we do not plan to even go as far as 15%.
Okay, thank you.
I monitor it on a monthly basis.
But we'll address it only once in this budget cycle, in this
Yes.
tonight.
Mhm.
All right, further questions or discussion? All those in favor then of passing the resolution to transfer the 15% from education operational funds, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, motion carries.
Next up, approval of resolution for the 2024 budget hearing.
All right, we have a recommendation of approval of the resolution of the 2024 budget. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion we approve.
Mr. King makes the motion. Do I have a second? Ms. Miller seconds. All right, discussion around the 2024 budget. And this was presented at our last public meeting, right?
Correct.
All right. Hearing no discussion then, we'll move to the vote. All those in favor of approval of the 2024 budget resolution, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, motion carries.
And next up, I have approval of the 2024 budget transfer resolution.
All right, I have a recommended approval of the 2024 budget transfer resolution. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion we approve.
Mr. King makes the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Bailey seconds.
I do have a question.
Discussion on this, sir?
Have we always done it this way? Or did this change? Because I've slept since the last time we did this, but is it all these resolutions?
We've always had these resolutions. I did not present them last year, so I'm not sure how
Okay.
he presented them, but
Okay.
we've always had
I think
these.
it was just, so there's different ways it could be presented. This is
It's
kind
probably
of,
a packet usually, where I'm
I think
presenting
what
them
I'm thinking.
individually.
Because
Yeah,
I've never seen this do them individually, which, no
Yes.
problem doing it that way. I just,
And you do need all these resolutions signed,
I do.
all right?
Yes.
So
on one,
I've got a copy here, we
Yes.
can make sure we sign it.
Uh,
for you.
Okay. I
You'll
had a
sign
copy.
Yeah.
each
Okay,
one.
we can use it.
got it.
We may have different ones, though. 'Cause I only got two. Okay. All right, any further discussion around the 2024 budget transfer? All right, hearing none then. All those in favor of the approval of the 2024 budget transfer resolution, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right. Anything else, Ms. Muter?
Last thing is approval for Lincoln Elementary to transfer the Now account interest to the activity account and close the Now account.
there's a recommendation to close this now account and move it to the activity account. Do I hear a motion? Ms. Miller makes the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, Ms. Collier makes the second. Any discussion around this topic?
I assume we're just cleaning up bookkeeping.
They had their interest in a separate account and they couldn't use it. It was just sitting in there, so they're trying to move it to the account where they can use it.
Okay. Further discussion or questions? Okay, hearing none, then all those in favor of approving the transfer account as listed, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, motion carries. Anything else? All right, thank you. Mr. Yancey.
First on the agenda is approval of a memorandum of agreement for special needs with the Hoosier Uplands Head Start program.
All right, we have then a recommendation to approve the MOA with Hoosier Uplands in context of special needs. Do I have a motion? Mr. Lambert moves for the approval. Do I have a second? Mr. Bailey seconds. Discussion on this MOA.
I have a handful of questions. Apologize. I don't know if you can answer
That's
these.
fine. I'll have to write them down, and I'll have to ask our special ed director when she gets back from vacation if I can't answer them. So,
Okay.
She's here.
So,
yay, she's back.
What can I do, Mr. King?
you plan on being here?
I'm here.
Okay.
I'll do my best.
I didn't get a chance to get it every time because I just read this last night. But so in the disabilities definition, it lists categories of disabilities. It doesn't really define disabilities. It lists what they are. So, and then you have a multidisciplinary team made up of certain personnel, and then you have a case conference committee that's made up of a multidisciplinary team and other individuals. And that committee does the case conference,
Correct.
depending on which knows people to be all right. So from the definition section, that's not clear. I think the multidisciplinary team is okay, but then when you get to the case conference committee, it should list that you have that team in there and then what additional people there might be. And then in the case conference definition, it would be easier to follow if you just say that the committee does this, rather than listing each time the type of people that might be in there. It's really confusing to get through these and then you read the processes and have, because it just doesn't flow well. Right?
So, I didn't make that MOU, and it is confusing. I will tell you, Mr. Pittman looked at it, and the reason that is confusing is that is pulled from Article 7, which are the guidelines for special education. Case conference teams are made up of a group of people, public agency representative, parents, special education teacher, general education teacher, but it can be a variety of other people that parents want to invite. It can be anybody parents want to invite. So to put who's going to be there, there is a core group of people, but it can be other people.
Yeah, I understand. And really the definition of case conference could say that, or the text of the process could say that. But the definitions, I mean, you have overlap in the definitions, and it's just hard to follow because it's not concise in the way it's presented. Because and it says maybe other people can be involved, and I understand that. It's difficult to get through the flow the way it is, right? So
I guess my question would be for Mr. Pittman, is the way that it's written going to cause us any problems or potential problems in any way, shape, or form?
I don't think so. I mean, this is an MOU. It's not a binding contract, and it's setting out the responsibilities of North Lawrence and the responsibilities of Head Start and working together. It could be amended later if we need to, but no, I don't think it'll cause us any legal
Okay.
problems.
all right. So if we go to the next page, section 2, it talks about the Head Start or the NLCS will have an early child coordinator, which is called ECC, and then they will have a Head Start curriculum assessment specialist, which you call CAS. and the ECC will receive referrals from Head Start. And then when we get to the next paragraph, it says the LEA has 10 days to send and give information. Was the LEA the same as the ECC, or is it somebody different? And who do they send information to? And then it says obtain permission, but it doesn't say what permission, who they get it from. But it gives you time frames. So, and then it talks about an initial conference, and I'm assuming that's a case conference,
It is.
but I shouldn't have to assume it, right? So I think if the Head Start portion was done first, some of this stuff may have been more clear, because it goes from, it talks about the LEA, which isn't defined anywhere, and then it goes into the multidisciplinary team, which again would be the committee, or a portion of the committee. And then it talks about doing these tests, but it never mentions that the parents have been notified and given permission for this test. So again, the parents should be notified prior to this happening. If you go to the Head Start section, it's a little more concise and the steps are more obvious, but it's really very difficult to follow this flow and understand what's supposed to happen. And for this topic, I think it's critical that it's done. I think if it's difficult to write this memorandum of agreement, it might be more difficult to follow the process. And we're talking about 3, 4, and 5-year-olds, right? Potentially having an IEP, which
Correct.
could follow them through academic career. And so I think it's critical we get this right. And I think this particular document really isn't written well enough to give me confidence that I think we should table this and rewrite it and make it a little more clear before we actually approve it. So I make a motion that we table this.
So for the record, Ms. Hines, Melissa Hines is addressing.
Were there questions? Did you ask her questions? I mean, I know there's like 2 or 3.
Yeah, so, yeah, that's fine. I mean, it's,
So this is a memorandum of understanding. This says, what this really says is, we're gonna work with special ed, we're gonna work with Head Start. Head Start, we have to go and, assess their students. We've already done that actually, because we have to by a certain date. Assess their students, we have to provide services. We have to look at their kiddos and say, hey, listen, it's called Child Find. We have to make sure that we're assessing kiddos 3 to 5 and making sure that if they qualify for special education, we are supposed to do it. They're our kids. They're North Lawrence Community School kids. What truly drives this is Article 7. That's what tells us what we have to do. I agree with you, Mr. King. This is unclear. We do this to parents all the time. We use letters, LEA, ECC, all sorts of stuff. You're right, this is unclear. However, this is a memorandum between the school and Head Start, not parents. This is telling us what we need to do. If you want me to rewrite this, I will. I didn't write this to begin with. So we can do that, but this is a common one that's being used around the state. They didn't make this up. There are several out there. This is the one they sent me.
okay.
We can
I'm
do that.
100% on board with what's being done here. All right,
Okay.
100%. I have no change, no problem with that whatsoever. I agree 100% with what we're doing with Head Start. That's what I'm talking about. And even it talks here about we won't test anybody that's under 3. But at the very beginning, it says from ages 3 to 5. So you really don't need that in there. And you can explain birth dates, when you do your blanket. For me to read through it, and I had to read through it multiple times, maybe it's me, but to me it's more of a memorandum misunderstanding, because the process doesn't flow very well in terms of what our responsibilities are, especially, but also how the two interrelate. So I just think it's a document that I would prefer we clean up before we vote to approve it. Even if it's internal, it's still, unless we're just going to check a box and never use it. But I think if we're going to go to the trouble of writing it and approving it, it ought to be accurate and it ought to be easy to understand. And in my opinion, this one is not. So.
This will be sent back to.
Melissa?
This will be sent back. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I know there's a delay. Can you tell us who sent it to you? Did the state, did the DOE or did the state send this to you to use?
It comes from Debbie Beeler at Head Start. It was actually sent by Samantha Bowles, but it comes from Head Start to us.
Okay, so you didn't nobody from NLCS was part of writing it then?
No, this is not something that I developed. It comes from them to us. And then it went from me to Mr. Pittman. He looked it over. It's a pretty standard agreement. Like I said, I think they have 2 or 3 others kind of floating around the state, but this is the one they sent to us. It's a pretty standard. What will happen is if the school board decides they're not comfortable with this one, which is, I will send it back to Head Start and say, these are some, in fact, I'll probably ask Mr. King for his. I saw that he had taken notes on his. I will probably ask Mr. King for his, and I'll send it back to them and say, these are some of the changes we want made on this, and I'll have them send it back. I'll have them make them and send it back to us. It'll go back to Mr. Pittman to review. It will delay the signing of it a month. I don't know as if that'll have any bearing on how we service students. There are things we have to do, but we'll move forward with that.
Well, that was going to be my question. Is there anything time sensitive here that says if we don't sign this tonight, or approve the signature of it, what happens?
So whether you sign this or not, I'm bound by Article 7. I'm bound by the law to service 3 to 5 year olds, and there are things that have to get done going forward. This is more for protection and an outline of how we're going to work with Head Start. And every school has to service 3 to 5 year olds. We have 3 to 5 year olds who are at Head Start, who are already there, who are 4 and 5, who we are servicing. This outlines more of the legal partnership between North Lawrence and Head Start.
And we have a good working relationship with it, so
We do.
I mean.
We've already been there. We were this week.
Right. Should
We
never
were-
be, should never be
right.
an issue, but it's just, I can't vote for this the way it's written. I'm sorry.
I respect that.
And I make a motion that we table this approval until it's rewritten and submitted.
Okay. I think we have a motion on the table actually right now, though, so help me out here, Greg. We have a motion, so we can,
Can we ask Greg his opinion on it? Can we ask Greg his opinion on this? What about the implications if we do table it?
I don't, unless there's some time-sensitive issue and a deadline of any kind, is there any problem with waiting another month?
Not that I'm.
And
not that
services
I'm
aren't gonna
aware of.
stop, they're not gonna be interrupted, so.
I'm going to service kids.
You're still doing everything according to Article 7, right? So it's not-
I'm still going to service kids per Article 7.
So, no, I don't think there's any concern legally if we wait another month to have it approved.
okay. Then I go back to procedural steps here. I can't remember where I was at. Did I have a
You've got
second?
a motion on the
Second.
floor to
Motion.
table it, there's not been a second yet.
Okay.
Was there a second on the original?
And
There was, okay.
I made a
Yeah.
motion, we have to second mine.
But there was a motion and then there was a second on approving it.
And we're into
That's when we got to
discussion, so-
discussion.
During the discussion, I made a motion that we table it, so that has to be taken care of before the original motion. Either it gets seconded or it fails because it wasn't seconded.
Okay.
That's the procedure.
Yeah, you deal with Mr. King's motion to table.
All right, then I have a secondary motion, I guess, I don't know if that's the right word or not, a motion within a motion to table the discussion on the MOA. Is there a second on that? Okay, I have no second. So
The motion fails, so we go back to the.
the motion fails, so now we go back to the original motion,
Is there any more
voting
discussion?
up or down on the agreement to the MOA.
Second my motion.
All right, so that takes us back to all those in favor of signature of the MOA for, between Hoosier Uplands and NLCS. All those in favor of approving the MOA as presented, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Nay.
Nay. We have 6 ayes, 1 nay. The motion carries. Okay. Next topic, Mr. Yancey.
Approval of the North Lawrence Community Schools Me Time Professional Performance and Evaluation Instrument. This is by state statute. This is the instrument that North Lawrence used to evaluate our teachers and staff. So we have to have approval.
All right. then I have a recommendation for the approval of the NLCS Me Time Professional Performance Evaluation Instrument. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Bailey makes the motion.
Second.
Mr. Lombard seconds. Discussion around the Me Time Professional Performance Evaluation Instrument.
I have a couple questions, couple comments. So this, we're using this now,
Yes, sir.
all right? Everybody's familiar with it. Do you know the last time it was updated? Anybody know?
In my opinion, this has never been approved by the board in the past.
Okay.
This is state statute, so that's why I'm following the state statute. But this is what you've done in the past here at North Lawrence with our Teachers Association and our staff with evaluation tool. So I'm following state statute and asking the board to approve this. That's been used in this probably over a decade.
Okay, in the beginning of each section, of each evaluation section, it has some guidelines on how it's used to have an effective rubric. And there's a lot of information in there, and there's one for each area of evaluation. And I'm just looking at the very beginning, the overall one, but there's a lot of references in here to things that need to be done first, second semester. And I know we're in our fourth year of trimester,
Trimester.
so it may not be, because some of them are like walkthroughs and observations and things. So, since we're on trimesters, the teachers are in classes that not as long, so maybe we may want to take a look at these and see if these things should be done more.
I think this is just wording. We've already talked to the staff when this should be completed. I'll be honest, I want this done before spring break because I want to look through our evaluations as they're being done.
Okay.
So, again, I can change the wording, but the time frame is still the same, so.
Okay. A lot of it's more towards the end of the year, right? So, and then there's it says print evaluation is in Appendix D of the document. I'm sorry.
This fan I can't hear.
It says the principal evaluation is Appendix D. Appendix D is the special ed evaluation, and then we have 2 Appendix J. So I think probably somebody needs to, maybe Kaylee can go through, kind of clean this document up a little bit. It's
Yes.
hard to tell because we get a PDF version and I don't know what the original looks like. But
Yeah, I'm going to make a note.
just, I guess, could use a little due diligence. There's a lot of information in this document.
Oh, it's, anytime the
And
government gets involved in
some of
anything,
the-
there's always a lot of
Some of the
information.
evaluations have the updated rubrics and some have the older one too, so it'd be nice at some point that they all get the updated rubric.
Yep. It was revised in 22, it says on mine,
Yeah,
9/22.
yeah, that's what it says, but I kind of hesitate. I'm not sure if that's accurate. So.
Yeah.
All right, further discussion on the Me Time Professional Performance tool. All right, hearing none then, all those in favor of approval of this tool, evaluation instrument, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? All right, motion carries.
Ready.
Next item, Mr. Yancey.
Approval of Tri-County Fence LLC to complete the fence project at Parkview K through 2.
All right, and the board has this estimate of this project at $14,640. Mr. King makes a motion we approve. Do I hear a second? Ms. Miller seconds. Any discussion related to this topic?
Just where are we talking about on this exactly, Steve? Is that around the football field? Or-
No, it's just right across the drive there, the little primary area,
yeah.
just right across from Little
Gotcha.
Theater.
I'm with you.
Yeah, it's got a little short fence and they're
Yep.
crawling over.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
And they're running on the road. Sorry. So it'll be a 6-foot fence.
Electric.
Who's in charge of this meeting? Okay, all those in favor of approval of the fence project as presented, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, motion carries. Thanks,
Appro-
Mr. Yancey.
Approval to hire Performance Services as our guaranteed energy savings contractor starting for 23-24 school year for all NLCS buildings. Performance Services already had all of our buildings except two, so we had to put out a
Request for proposal.
request for proposal that was sent. They were chosen, so now we have to approve for those two buildings for now that we can do it's actually for the Needmore septic system. Then I hope to get you in October.
All right, then,
Second.
Mr. King makes motion, Mr. Bailey seconds. Any discussion on this topic? Okay, all those in favor of approving Performance Services as our guaranteed energy savings contractor, please signal by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Yancey?
Approval of BMS out-of-state 8th grade field trip to Cincinnati, Ohio on May the 8th and 9th, 2024.
Make a motion to approve.
Mr. Bailey motions, Ms. Collier seconds. Any discussion on this topic?
No. What time the bus leaves, what time the bus gets back?
Early and late.
It's in May.
At least it's always with my kids.
Early and early.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did this last year, and it's,
A lot of detail with them, most of the time they get leave and come back, but
Yeah.
they have to be there by
it's,
games over, so I was just curious.
yeah, it is a long day. It looks like Mr. Cobb is the principal lead on this. Not principal as in person, but
Person in
primary
charge.
area.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Discussion around this topic. Or did we already approve it?
No, we haven't yet.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
Yes, we
We
did.
did.
And a
All right.
second. Quickly.
Scott's questions are throwing me off. Okay. All those in favor of approval of the Cincinnati trip, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Yancey.
Approval of memorandum of understanding with South Central Indiana Workforce Investment Board for the 2023-24 school year. This deals with our JAG program at the high school.
All right, have a recommendation to approve the MOU with South Central Indiana Workforce Investment Board for this school year. Do I have a motion? Mr. King makes the motion. Do I have a second? Mr. Lombrick seconds. Discussion.
Is this already in place? Are we doing this now? Okay.
Yes,
So
yes,
we
sir.
have this course code 509, we got that going, and we have advisory committee and all that? Okay, excellent.
If you haven't ever been, I would highly recommend you go visit. The JAG program is really good. I mean, I spoke to him last year for the whole day, and it was just, yeah, I mean, some of the kids are more excited about it than others, obviously, but I think everything is like that, so.
All right, further questions or discussion around this JAG MOU? All right, all those in favor of approval of the MOU as presented, please signal by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? All right, motion carries. And I can't see Dr. Miller voting. I've just not been announcing it for the record. So Dr. Miller has been voting. So what's that? Okay. All right, Mr. Yancey.
Approval of Parkview K through 2 roof replacement. And that is the first on your sheet that we spoke about. So that would be the blue area.
All right, this is a recommendation at the, well, I should say, is there we have a recommendation for a partial approval of partial repair and replacement of the Parkview roof. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion we approve.
Mr. King makes the motion. Do I have a second? Ms. Miller seconds. Discussion.
So just to clarify, just because your paper says Parkview Intermediate, but it says here K through 2, which would be primary.
It's the intermediate.
Quote is-
That's the intermediate building.
Right, I'm just on the
Yeah,
agenda.
if the agenda is.
I just wanted to make sure that I understood which, because I thought that's what we were doing.
Okay.
It's the intermediate building. Yep, not the K-12 building.
And for
Yes.
public
Yeah.
awareness, the quote is $1,163,295 for the partial repair. Further questions or discussion? All right, all those in favor of approval of the Parkview roof replacement as quoted, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. All right, I believe we're on to curriculum now. Ms. Hudson.
Good evening. I have a few agenda items for approval. The first one is approval for Playful Pathways nurse Lori Murphy to attend the Indiana Association of School Nurses Conference in Noblesville, Indiana on November 15th and November 16th.
Okay, having heard the recommendation, do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Mr. Bailey makes a motion.
Second.
Ms. Collier seconds. Discussion on this topic? All right, hearing no discussion then, all those in favor of approval of this trip, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? All right, motion carries.
Thank you. My next item is approval for 3 Project Lead the Way Corporation leads to attend the Project Lead the Way launch conference in St. Louis, Missouri from January 19th through January 31st, 2024. All of the associated costs will be paid for through ESSER 3. Yes.
Okay, then I have a recommendation for approval of this Project Lead the Way trip. Do I have a motion? Ms. Miller makes a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Collier seconds. Discussion around the trip to St. Louis. Or questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Sure.
So, yeah, you have 3 people listed here, and one of them is a 6th grade teacher at Shawswick.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Correct.
I'm sorry.
Yes, that's right. Mrs. Trojan is a 6th grade teacher at Shawswick, and Mrs. Willis is a 2nd grade teacher at Dollins.
Correct, okay. So in our personnel list tonight, which we approved, it says Brittany Chastain is the Project Lead the Way building lead for Shawswick.
Correct. So we have.
And Mrs. Trojan is resigning from
Yes.
Project Lead the Way.
She's
So why
just
does she go on
resigning
this
for
trip
the.
if she's-
She's just resigning from her building lead. So each of our elementary buildings have leads that organize the kits and replenish supplies and get the kits out to the grade level teachers. Then we have 3 corporation leads that do our training. So Mrs. Trojan is certified as a Project Lead the Way trainer. That means we don't pay it outside costs for Project Lead the Way training for our teachers. She and Mrs. Willis are certified, so they'll continue to be our corporation leads. She just is trying to step back and have fewer responsibilities, so she doesn't desire to be the building lead anymore to replenish those kits at the building level.
So district-wide, we have 3 leads.
Correct.
Okay.
Further discussions or questions?
So I have one more question. So Ms. Terrell is Director of College and Career Readiness.
Correct.
She picked up that lead in that position, right? It goes with that job description?
Yes, it does.
All right, thank you.
Okay, any further questions? All right, hearing none then, vote for approval of this Project Lead the Way trip to St. Louis. All those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. The next item is board approval for the NLCS local test policy. This is our test security policy that we are required to have by the Department of Education for all of our standardized secure testing like iLearn, IAM, iRead3, any of those tests that are from the DOE. So there is a state security training that teachers go through and sign. There's also a local security policy that must be in place. So this is our local security policy we're asking for approval.
Okay, have a recommendation for approval of this security policy.
Make a motion, we approve.
Mr. King makes a motion.
Second.
Mr. Bailey seconds. Do we have any discussion?
I have a couple questions. First comment, this is well written compared to the last one I saw. Thank you. On this, it says, on the backside, it says, these people must be, receive annual test security and integrity training by 30 September. Yeah. So if we have, so this is it just for these? No, it says for the appropriate staff. So if we have staff that hires in after September 30th, is there a time frame that they have to be trained?
We just train them as they're hired.
Like a
Yes,
new
we
hire?
always make sure our principals, I keep a list of any new hires between now and May, or really March is when I-Read 3 starts. And the principals we do too, so we try to make sure nobody slips through the cracks. And sometimes in March, we do have to ask some new hires to do sign the security testing agreement. But
Okay.
we try to do it as they come,
Like
so
on
that,
onboarding? Okay.
yeah.
So I have another question. This is just curiosity, I guess, but it talks about if there's somebody complains about integrity or something like that. So is any concerns with articulable facts reported to the Indiana Department of Education? So is the burden of the facts being articulable fall on the person who registers the complaint or us?
I'm not sure. That's a great question. This is this language comes directly from the state. So we can deviate from the language if we want to take something out or add something in, but it's the
Right.
format that's recommended.
Okay. Mr. Pittman, this term, is it,
Articulable facts?
isn't that typical for like, in a criminal case or something, for somebody bringing facts against somebody that committed a crime or something like that? Is that where this is normally used? I mean, in a legal sense, right?
Articulable facts is not, no, not in a
Okay.
criminal case, but
But it's like if they have something they're complaining about, they have to be able to verify or explain that it's real. I just wonder if that falls on us or the person that brought it to us. If we have to investigate and figure out, but hopefully we won't have to
Any
find out.
question of testing security is investigated by the state, and those are now on JOT forms for someone to fill that out. Used to go through like the site testing coordinator and the corporation testing coordinator. Now they're JOT forms, which are kind of like Google forms that are filled out for the state. So all of that is electronic. So then a testing security breach would go to the state, and then they would respond by contacting me.
Okay.
And we would have a chance to respond and investigate. But
All right.
we thankfully haven't had any kind of security breaches in
Yeah,
the last
hopefully
several
we-
years.
yeah,
So
we'll
hopefully,
never find out, right? And I have our forms for you when we're done.
thank you.
Okay, any further discussion or questions? All right then, vote for the approval of this NLCS local test security policy. All those in favor of adopting this, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. The last item is an approval of a memorandum of understanding with Centerstone Community Health Center. This memorandum of understanding is in your packet. It is between Centerstone and the North Lawrence Community Schools, but specifically Bedford Middle School. This will allow a family support specialist who is currently working at Bedford Middle School 1 day a week with students to expand to being there 5 full days a week.
All right, we have a recommendation then of approval of an MOU with Centerstone Community Mental Health Center. Do I have a motion? Ms. Miller makes the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Bailey seconds. Discussion on this topic?
I have a couple questions. So the Centerstone community is the provider.
Correct.
Okay. And then one of our requirements is provide facilities or space, and we have that available.
We do.
Okay.
She's already using a room 1 day a week. She'll
Just
just
more-
continue to
just
use
more,
that
okay.
space the other days.
All right. And then under financial, it says we'll provide the first amount and then has potential sources for funding. So do we know what the additional anticipated cost is, and we're
We are,
confident we'll be able to cover it?
we will not be covering any additional costs.
Okay.
Our limit is the amount listed there, and everything else will be covered through those other sources.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, further discussion or questions? All right then, a vote on the approval of the MOU as presented with Centerstone Community Health Center. All those in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Ms.
Thank
Hudson.
you.
And next on the agenda, I believe we have from the North Lawrence Career Center, Ms. Redmond.
Good evening. I will say, I think I have staff members at home watching this, taking bets on how long it's going to take me to get through my really long list tonight.
Depends on Scott.
What's the over-under? Yeah, Scott, where's your money?
17 minutes.
So my first request is for the ability to restart the Career Center Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America student organization. The best way to describe this is FFA for our Family and Consumer Sciences students. It used to be known as FHA back in the day.
All right,
Second.
we have a motion from Mr. King to approve and a second from Mr. Bailey. Discussion?
What triggered this restart?
A second-year teacher that was looking for a way to provide more opportunities for her students.
Thanks.
Very good. Further discussion or questions? All right, hearing none then, vote to approve the restart of the, in short, FFA. FHA. sorry.
FCCLA.
CCLA. All those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. My next request is to open an extracurricular activity fund for fire science. This would be anticipation of fundraisers or donations dedicated to the fire science program.
Mr. King makes a motion. Mr. Lombard seconds. Discussion? All right, all those in favor of approval of a NLCC extracurricular activity fund for fire science signal by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you. Next up, 5 North Lawrence Career Center staff to attend the Indiana Association of Career and Technical Education Conference in Indianapolis.
Would entertain a motion for this recommendation. Ms. Miller makes the motion. Second.
Second.
Mr. Bailey seconds. Discussion?
Sorry, I have to ask this question. I apologize. Today's September 21st.
Yes.
Okay, so I have a question. Are they waiting in a car for you to call them?
Well, so this is on here because it's an overnight stay. So yes, if you guys voted no, it'd be get back home to Lawrence County. Well, remember how the Career Center's been a little crazy? I missed that August board meeting on that one.
All right, all those in favor of approval of this recommended trip to Indianapolis, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I was ahead of the game on these. I just want to point that out. I request permission for Career Center students to attend the HOSA Fall Conference in Indianapolis, October 19th through the 20th. HOSA is Health Occupation Students of America. So these are our health science students.
All right, do I hear a motion? Mr. King makes a motion. Second? Second. Ms. Miller seconds. Any discussion or questions?
I have one question. On the agenda, it says 18 through 20, and on this agenda, it says 19 through 20, and on your edition, it says 18 through 20. Is it 18 or 19?
I don't trust my memory on that one, but
Okay,
I'll look it
all
up
right.
before I leave.
All right, okay, that's fine.
All right, all those in favor then of this recommended trip to Indianapolis, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, motion carried.
All right. We would like to take our FFA students to the National FFA Convention, also in Indianapolis, on November 1st through the 2nd for one group, and then on the 3rd for a second group.
All right, recommendation for this FFA trip. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Lombard makes the motion. Second?
Second.
Mr. Bailey seconds. Discussion or questions? All right, all those in favor of this FFA trip, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Okay. An out-of-state field trip, again for FFA, to attend the North American Livestock Exposition in Louisville, Kentucky, November 11th.
All right, recommendation for this trip to Louisville. Mr. King makes a motion. Second. Mr. Lombard seconds. Discussion? All right, all those in favor of approval of this trip to Louisville, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Okay.
Scott's gonna have to really sandbag this one to get that under.
I promise you didn't have any money on this. I request permission for Christy Cummings, our first-year health science instructor, to attend the National Consortium for Health Science Education Conference in Seattle, Washington, October 16th through the 19th.
All right, recommendation for approval of this trip. Do I have a motion? Ms. Miller makes the motion. Do I have a second?
Second?
Mr. Bailey seconds. Discussion or questions?
Could you give us a brief, take as long as you want, could you give us the purpose and benefit of this trip?
Sure. So this is a consortium, of course, of health science instructors. And what we see is a lot of our health science instructors come from industry, and they may not have that teaching background. So this is the first time that in my directorship we've sent someone here, but it reads, and we've got some health science instructors from other career centers that recommend this as a way to bring the education piece and the industry piece together. And then since it is on that national level, you get a lot of differing opinions and a lot of views. And the health science program is unique. So in that first year, our students can earn their certified clinical medical assistant, their CCMA. And then in the second year, if they continue with that, they can earn their CNA, that certified nurse assistant. So there are two big certifications that they can earn, and they pick up a lot of little ones that are industry relevant along the way. So we're always searching for ways to improve our program.
Thank you.
Further questions or discussion? All right, all those in favor of approval of this trip for the Health Science Education Conference in Seattle, Washington, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Redmond.
Thank you.
Okay, next topic on the agenda is persons to address the board. Do we have any persons to address the board this evening? Mr. Godsey.
Craig Godsey, 340 Hillcrest Court. So last year I was the girls basketball coach at Needmore. It was a great time, great program. Could have had a few more games, made it a little bit better. Hopefully we're working on that this year. An issue that I had, and I've shared it with some on the board as well, had a parent come out on the floor after the game that was disappointed with the playing time of their child. It would have been nice to have an SRO or an off-duty cop at the game. And I've had that discussion since last year, and nothing's happened. I don't know why. I've had to reach out to the sheriff's department myself to see if it's possible and what the cost would be. I'll cover it myself if I have to. Have no problems doing so. I would think the board would want to take this and do something about it. Having a cop there is a deterrent. It's a good idea, so nothing happens. I will say, I'm not going to drop any names, but that little girl's not going to play this year. That's disappointing. I had to call and talk to her mom for 2 hours to get her to agree to let me protect her. It's disgusting. And I'm still waiting for an answer back. Does anybody have any questions for me? I'm more than willing to go anywhere and talk to anybody. You know how to get a hold of me. I'll do anything. It's supposed to start next month, towards the end, tryouts. I'd like to have a plan in place. If I need to pay for it myself, I will, to cover my school. Please let me know. Thank you.
Any other persons to address the board? Anyone else to address the board? Oh. All right. Thank you, Mr. Timbrook. Mr. Joe Timbrook from the Lawrence County, help me out here, Economic
Growth Council.
Growth Council.
Yeah, right. Thank you for allowing me to speak to you tonight. Sorry, I'm losing my voice a little bit, but I'll speak as strong as I can. A couple of things I wanted to comment on real quick. One is the Project Lead the Way discussion that you've been having and asking questions about. That actually began in 2019, 2020 with a grant with the Lawrence County Economic Growth Council funding $50,000 worth of elementary Project Lead the Way activities. And so we're tickled to see that continues to go, continues to get bigger and get stronger. So congratulations to the school system on that. I also want to say thank you for the support that you've given Mrs. Redmond for the Career Center activities, 7 on here that she's talked about. I'm going to talk about one more thing, but that Career Center continues to get better and better from a community's perspective, gets better and better every single day. And the leadership there has been outstanding. I guess this is a good time to throw in taking Stephen McNabb away from the Career Center, but we just wish him all the best at the high school. He's been nothing but fabulous at the Career Center, and of course week after next is Manufacturing Week, which he spearheaded last year for us, and now this is his way of getting out of it, I think. But we certainly appreciate everything that he's done and what he will do for the high school folks, without a doubt. There will be a lot of Manufacturing Week activities week after next. One of the big ones that Mrs. Redmond didn't talk about was there is going to be I'm going to read some of it because this is not my kind of language. That on October the 5th at Stonegate Arts and Education Center downtown. And again, from a community standpoint, the Stonegate as well as the Career Center are 2 hubs for education and workforce. They're really important to us. And I think I can say this out loud. If not, turn off the camera. But Work 1 is going to move to the third floor of Stonegate Arts and Education Center come November. So again, putting all these things together is what we're trying to accomplish in the community. And if I'm not supposed to say that, I'm sorry to whoever that I shouldn't have said that, but it's going to. So we're really excited. Work 1, GED, all the HSC stuff will be done there. And so we're excited about that. But also at Stonegate is the Skilled Trades Camp, and they're going to be Linda Henderson at the Stonegate Arts and Education Director has done a fabulous job. Duke gave $10,000 to make this happen. There's going to be 12. Let me get this right. 12 trade demonstrations or types of demonstrations, simulators, equipment, and learning about career opportunities and training. And this is the best that we've connected probably with the trades in a long time in Lawrence County. And so we're extremely excited about that. And there's all the schools in the region have been invited. I think they're up to 7 school systems sending. They're going to estimated attendance about 500 students for that day. They're actually going to close off some of the streets right there along J Street for these activities on October the 5th, approved by Bedford City Council. And so great, exciting time for juniors and seniors to be able to go see these skilled trade opportunities. So we're tickled about that. And of course, Mrs. Redmond has been highly involved in that. But the coolest thing too is from 2 to 4, it'll be open for adults to the public. And so we can recommend people from the public to go and learn about skilled trades as well from 2 to 4 that day. So that's going to be happening on October the 5th. And then one last thing I want to mention is in conjunction with Mrs. Redmond, talk about health sciences and what the strides they're making with health sciences at the Career Center as well, and the restart of the organization out there that you approved. We just received a $150,000 grant from the Indiana Department of Health, and it is to focus on a curriculum for the community, including Career Center, on introduction to health and health science careers. Don't even know what that's going to look like yet. We're in the building stages of what that's. I'm very open to that, but again, to drive the drive pathway for these students in some of the most needed jobs in our community from a health science standpoint. If you look at the Department of Workforce Development website on a monthly basis, all the jobs needed are in healthcare, and all the people that are applying are in manufacturing. And it doesn't work like that. And so that's another step that the community is taking to improve the health science career opportunities for students in Lawrence County. So I would appreciate the opportunity to work with North Lawrence Community Schools, North Lawrence Career Center, and continue to make it the best community that we can. Questions for me? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Timbrook. I would remind the speakers to try and keep their comments to 5 minutes, I think, I may have been 3. All right, I apologize then. I let that one. Okay, any other persons to address the board?
May I address the board?
Ma'am, yes. Please do start out stating your name and address.
is Nancy Hall. My address is 632 Shawswick Station Road, Bedford, Indiana. I'm the owner of CWR Vending Company in Bedford. I've been in the North Lawrence schools since Stan Glenn was the principal. I just have a question as to situation that's happened and how it was handled that way. Of course, when we started school this year, we filled the machines. We have probably 10 in the vocational, and they were in several of the other schools. And a few weeks ago, somebody from the administration building asked us to put in a couple of machines, and the high school wanted another machine, and we were ready to do that, but we didn't get a consent. So last Friday, we got a phone call from somebody named Dave. He didn't even say who he was, and he said, your machines have to be out by October 9th. We're going with a company in Linton, Indiana. My route man services those accounts, particularly the vocational school, twice a day. He's given them great service. We've never had any complaints, or if we have, we've taken care of them. So my question, all of my employees are from Lawrence County, and we're bringing in somebody from Linton. And my question is, I'd just like to know how they handle it. I said to this man, did you ask for bids? I didn't get a bid to renew my contract or whatever. And he said, no, we don't do bids. You just need your machines out by October 9th.
Kevin?
News to me, but
Ma'am, I'll have to
I
take
think we'll have to take this
Yeah.
for advisement and
Yeah, I'll have to take a
research
look
this
at
a
it.
little bit.
It was news to Jeff Callahan at the high school. I think it was maybe news to the vocational school also. And then some of the Parkview were in Parkview and a couple of the others, and we haven't talked to them yet, but it was news to all of them and us.
I have one question. Which building was it just taken out of the administration building or all the buildings?
Beg your pardon. Oh, taken out of all the buildings in North Lawrence schools.
So all the buildings now, okay.
And I will just say, this is the first that we know of. We've heard about it.
Pardon me?
We haven't heard this.
Well, nobody has,
So
and
we will-
we were totally shocked.
We will definitely look into it and figure out what is going on here. I mean, obviously, we want to accommodate those in our own county as much as we can.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. All right, anyone further to address the board this evening? All right.
First, Mr. Yancey.
Oh, I'm sorry.
and then
I have a
me.
few people I'd like to thank real quickly. I want to congratulate to our elementary teachers with their iRead scores. They came in and the children performed very well in the third grade, and I want to thank Tricia and your group for those scores and the teachers. Also, I've enjoyed watching the fall sports. Our kids participate very well and work hard. Also, I've enjoyed my last 3 days at Dollins Elementary. I want to thank the teachers and staff for making me feel so welcome, and I sure enjoyed being there with our students. Also, I want to thank Jeff and his family. My wife and I went out to his farm at the festival he holds. We had a great time, and I sure appreciate his hospitality, and I enjoyed watching the young kids interact with his animals. It was quite an experience, and I want to say thank you. Again, Tricia puts on a workshop here for our new hiring teachers that we hire each year. I attended that this 2 days ago, and it was well done, and I appreciate what we're doing for our young teachers here at North Lawrence. That's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Yancey. Mr. King, you
I
have
have a couple
comment?
things. Apologize. First, I'd like to offer the board's congratulations to some of our new hires. Joe Housel, becoming the Director of Technology. Steve McNabb, as mentioned before, high school assistant principal. And then Dr. Aaron Miller, Director of Secondary Curriculum Instruction. So congratulations and welcome. We have great teachers, we have great administrators, we have great staff, we have great students, and a lot of positive things going on in our schools all the time. So we're going to try something new on the regular meetings of giving the school administrators an opportunity to brag about their schools. So I'm going to read a few things that the administrators have sent to us. It's all from them. So if you have any questions, you can contact them. And I apologize, it's going to take about 9 minutes and 22 seconds to read it, but the information is so good, it'll feel like 3 minutes, I promise. Okay, and we call these spotlights and highlights. Playful Pathways, spotlights and highlights. Many more parents are applying for vouchers. We have more enrollment appointments scheduled. The Courtyard Playground is wonderful and is constantly busy with infants, toddlers, and twos, and kiddos, as some people say. Dollins, spotlights and highlights. Dollins welcomed families for Grandparents' Day Monday and Tuesday, 11th and 12th. Our cafeteria was packed. Kids had a blast, and the grandparents were honored. It was wonderful. Mr. Malone posted 4 episodes of the Bearcat Beacon on social media with an average viewing of 938. They've been watched over 4,000 times. 4th grader Nolan Melton placed first in the Extreme Cross Country Redneck Run motocross race last weekend. 6th graders Will Parsley and Chase Ritter were match winners for BMS tennis team, both on Thursday, September 7th and Monday, September 11th. And this came from our NLCS curriculum newsletter. Mr. Malone is new to Dollins this year, but has made a positive impact already. He makes an effort to greet the students with a fist bump when he sees them and truly makes them know he's excited to see them each day. He has been seen making connections with students who are having a rough day by mentoring them and talking to them about goals to work towards for positive behavior. Lincoln spotlights and highlights. Great things are happening at Lincoln Elementary. The Lincoln Green Thumbs have been busy harvesting peppers and tomatoes from the Lincoln Garden. The Lincoln Running Club members have been working hard to prepare for the upcoming Limestone 5K on October 7th. The Lincoln Robotics members were just selected and they're having their practice this week. We have a very successful grandparents breakfast last Friday. The gym was packed full of students and grandparents enjoying donuts and milk. The Lincoln PTO Fall Carnival will be held on October 21st from 3 to 8 p.m. This is a community event offering fun for everyone. A few things we have planned. Multiple vendors offering everything from crafts to sports cards, bounce house, chili supper, raffles including tickets to the Indianapolis Zoo, Cave City Canoes, and more, silent auction baskets, carnival games, face painting, and other activities. Need more highlights and spotlights. The 2023-2024 Nemo Robotics team was just recently established. Our Robotoppers have quite the reputation for competing at high levels, such as state and world qualifiers. So our new team is excited to start their season. Our student council candidates gave speeches at a recent school assembly, and students then voted them for multiple representatives from each grade level. There's a great lesson in public speaking, election, and the voting process, and learning ways a student can act as an ambassador for our school. Needmore will be hosting a family tech talk to help families understand how to keep their children safe online. Our fall carnival is coming up in October, and as a way to kick off the festival, some staff members will be the subject of a student-selected challenge that is yet to be determined. Last year, Mrs. Petty, the principal, and 2 staff members received a pie in the face. Our partnership with Bedford Public Library has begun for this school year, and we will use this outreach program for our students. Parkview Spotlights and Highlights. We have 2 new after-school clubs, 3D printing and photography, that the staff had volunteered to sponsor. The roles and responsibilities may rotate as the school years continue, depending on each club member's interest. The 3D printing club is for 5th and 6th graders and help better utilize the 3D printers in their makerspace room. The purpose of the club is to allow students to learn about 3D printing and skills related to running a business. It is an exciting time to be a printing panther. Club members will be creating 3D prints for students to purchase with points or tickets in our new PBIS Panther store. To best accomplish this task, students will work to track the inventory of raw materials, conduct market research to assess the value of each item at the current scale, work with 3D print software to design and scale the prints, maintain the mechanics of the printer, and advertise current print availability and pricing. Parkview has a new sign on the K2 and 3-6 buildings, as well as some new landscaping for which we are grateful. The culmination project of Nursery Rhymes, our kindergarten had a Humpty Dumpty egg drop event. Over 3/4 of our budding engineers' eggs did not break from a drop of 20 feet. Shawswick Highlights Spotlights. 6th grade teachers are utilizing a 35-minute time during the day called Connect Time to allow 6th grade students to participate in elective classes that increase student collaboration, engagement, and self-confidence. This time has helped to reveal the skill set of some students that may not be obvious in their core classes. and provide them an opportunity to explore their interests while realizing their own strengths and the strengths and skills of their peers. All 3 6th grade teachers plus reading specialists teach an elective course for 4 to 5 weeks at a time. Students are able to select these courses based on their interests and are able to increase future employability skills. The current Connect Time cycle includes career exploration, foreign language, careers in STEAM, and creative writing journalism. Our plans for the future include financial literacy, theater, entrepreneurship, photography, quilting, and storytelling through the arts. The Garden Club is partners with the construction trade students and instructors at the Career Center to have some raised beds and a small storage bed built. We're excited about the project and are thrilled to see what our Career Center students create in collaboration with our elementary gardening club students. We believe strongly in this community and the inter-district connection. Bedford Middle School spotlights and highlights. Items we're very proud as we get school rolling through August and September. Exploratory elective classes are off to a great start. Students pick 4 classes, one each 9 weeks, to explore topics and interests. This also allows teachers to teach a subject topic that they're passionate about outside their license area, 1 period a day. Mr. Godlewski, the exploratory elective is a first period class where students are assigned who might need extra help with getting their assignments completed and turned in on time. Mr. Godlewski came to our administration team looking for a way to help students reduce the number of missing assignments that they have in classes. The class is evolving as we continue to make changes to better the support we provide the students. We appreciate Mr. Godlewski's initiative and leadership in developing this opportunity for students. We are 1 support staff away from being fully staffed at BMS. All certified staff positions are filled. In August, the teachers completed a self-assessment of Dr. Moranzo's 43 instructional elements, and our Teachers Leadership Guiding Coalition Committee helped select the 5 elements their staff will focus on this year. During our September staff meeting, our teacher team selected an instructional strategy that they will present to the rest of the staff members in an upcoming staff meeting. Gateway Academy highlights and spotlights. 15 high school credits have been earned this year. We have a new recreation room for our students to use during break time. We will be partnering with Families Forever to begin a mentoring program for our female students starting next Tuesday. Our partnership with the Boys and Girls Club continues to be an enriching learning experience. We engage weekly in STEM projects and career prep with Mr. Vic Maximinko. North Lawrence Career Center highlights and spotlights. Embedded work-based learning students have began working in industry. These are students in the 2nd year of their pathway and have chosen to work in related field. At this time, they're working 2 days per week during their scheduled class time. Mass Media Productions, formerly Radio and TV, have a podcast channel, Career Center Multimedia. The staff of the Career Center has volunteered to step in when needed, from helping with tasks to covering extra classes. Our students have had a smooth start of the year because of their willingness to help. Students in the 2nd year of Health Science program are working towards several certifications this year. Our graduates will add dementia care training to their CNA. We added approximately 80 additional seats in Career Center classes. An additional section for Year 1 of Digital Design, Year 1 of Welding, Year 1 of Criminal Justice, and the new Fire Science program. And yet we're still full. BNL highlights and spotlights. Many great things are happening both inside the classrooms and outside in extracurricular activities at BNL. We are proud to highlight academic interventions that are happening for our students during our advisory period and the work of our teachers within our professional development plan. We also have a great turnout of students for our senior tailgate 2 weeks ago and our freshman tailgate last week. And now we're excitingly planning a BNL and NLCC staff tailgate for October. 16 minutes, 12 seconds.
Thank you, Scott. No, you came in under 9 minutes. And anyone who's at one of those football games where they had the dye everywhere, that stuff is still coming out of my kid's car seat. It is homecoming week at BNL this week, so good luck to the BNL Stars and everyone enjoying the homecoming. Upcoming meetings, we have a regular scheduled meeting. It looks like the 19th of October, but we have discussed the potential of announcing other meetings, work sessions, something like that. So stay tuned to the local media. With that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Mr. Bailey moves. Do I have a second? Mr. Lombard moves. All those in favor of adjournment, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? All right, thank you. I just wanted to hit the gavel.